Hello, I'm Eddie Mackenzie. It's very nice to be here.
Yes, and so welcome to another episode of Sit Down by the Fire. I guess I have to fire Eric because he's not showing up. So we'll have a talk after the stream here.
The
uh,
perils of education, yes. He's got
yes.
things to do.
So I guess we'll start out here. What are some of your favorite movies?
Oh boy, now that is a very good question off the top of the bat. I mean, yeah, I'd like to pretend that I was a very cool film guy, but my favorites are all a lot of pretty much most people's favorites. I would say top of the bat, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I would say
Yes.
is like I consider it to be like the one thing as well because I'm a greedy boy. I want to have all three of them together.
Well,
Um,
I they're actually my they actually might be my favorite movie of all time, and I just consider them all one movie because I mean it's all Tolkien intended it to be one book, so one
yeah,
movie,
yeah, yeah.
and if you think about it, it's a three act structure, so that actually works.
I mean, this is it. Jackson was a mastermind. He filmed them together. He like edited it in such a way that they just flow perfectly.
Uh,
I have on several occasions done the extended edition marathon,
Me
and it's
too.
the best way. It's the best way to experience them. And
Me,
I
me.
do it at least a few times a year, and every time it's as fresh as it ever was.
Oh
They
yeah.
are just they're just sumptuous. There's just so much richness in these movies.
Oh
It's
yeah.
incredible stuff.
Well, Tolkien in general. So
Mm, the
uh,
beautiful world. It's just
yeah.
never get
So
tired of it.
yes, if we definitely need stuff like that now.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
uh,
Um, I don't know. I don't know if you've seen the June movies that have just been the recent ones.
yes.
June 2 has just come out, of course, and I had a
Yes.
similar. There's a similar feeling about them.
Hmm.
Mr. Villeneuve, or however you pronounce his wonderful name, has
Yes.
uh, has captured that same kind of epic
Yes, he has.
fantasy world building, and it's
Well,
just oh.
well, I haven't seen a movie since Return of the King where I was just like glued to the screen. Like there was some guy, who answered his phone, and I'm like, usually in a movie theater, like I'll just give you that look, like, dude, what the heck are you doing? I didn't even care. I was glued to the screen with Dune. So
Oh my God. Just
yeah,
woof. Glued is
yeah,
correct. That is exactly it.
yes.
Uh, and it's the way when it finished, and I was like, that can't be the end. What? It's only been about
What?
half an hour. And it's just, whoa. It just sucks you in, and you're in this world.
Uh-huh.
So,
Well,
yeah.
all I'm going to say is, for those who haven't read the books, is I've actually read all the books with Dune. Oh boy, you guys in for, I don't know if treat's the right word.
See,
uh,
that's what I need to do next. I haven't read the June books, so I need to get them
um,
done.
let's put it this way, without spoilers. It takes the hero's journey, definitely, but then turns it way upside down.
Oh, okay,
I
okay.
mean, so that's all I'm going to say. But favorite actors.
Favorite actors? Oh, goodness me. Well, I mean, off the bat of The Lord of the Rings, I would say Viggo Mortensen is probably up
Yes.
there as one of my favorites.
Yes.
Um,
Very.
Even if all he'd done was Aragorn, he would be my favorite. But
Yeah.
you've also got you've got a history of violence. You've got him in The Road.
Mhm.
Green Book, a recent great
Yes.
performance of his. He's one of these actors that just there's always so much heart behind everything. What he's playing, you can see it in his eyes, and he's just
Hmm.
got this intensity with everything, and it's he's just you can't take your eyes off him when he's
Oh,
performing. It's
yeah.
that whole vibe.
Right. I don't know if underrated is quite the right word. Maybe underappreciated, because I think people
Yeah,
obviously know him, but like he's just underappreciated. I think is the best word. You know.
yeah. He's never one to like. chase. He never does interviews where he's like, I'm trying to be the greatest actor in the world. He just
Right.
turns up and he does the job, and he's a
Well,
sweetheart.
well, I love one of his responses. They asked him because he went to some award show, and instead of buying a brand new suit like some actors do and everything, there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, you want to look good. But they asked him what is he wearing, and he responded, "My closet." I'm just like, hey, that's gotta hand it to him.
So above, no time for all the nonsense. He's just a legitimate, cool guy. I think that's the vibe.
Yeah. So, what are some of your dream roles here? Because just starting out to acting, right? So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I'd love to do anything that's on the kind of more odd side. I think I'm definitely a character actor. I think is where I find comfortable. I'm never gonna be the leading man, the young romantic heartthrob of the cinema. Well, you never know.
I mean, who knows, maybe.
But I really enjoy playing, like Blood and Honey. I like playing weird little characters and interesting roles with some stuff going on in the background. Just freaky little guys. Give me that kind of stuff.
Right. Speaking of Blood and Honey here, so what was your family's reaction when you were casted as Piglet? And and Winnie the Pooh, the horror movie.
That is
because the first movie at least got I don't know if people were like, wait, what? Saw it first.
That is a very good question because my mother didn't understand what was going on for a good while. Bless her, because I grew up on Winnie the Pooh. I grew up in Britain. It was a very traditional story.
Right.
We love Winnie the Pooh over here. We had the books, we had the TV shows. It was incredible. And then when I told my mum, I was like, I've been cast in this little film. It's it's a version of Winnie the Pooh. I'm going to be Piglet. She was very, very excited, and then I had to be like, it is a little different to what you might be expecting. And I had to explain, and then I had to show her a bit of the first film, I showed her a trailer, and she was like, oh, Edward, oh my goodness, oh, well, I hope you have fun. Do a good job, but oh dear. And I think, bless her, I think she's going to watch this one, but I don't think she's going to enjoy it. That's
yes. I mean,
my brothers are really into it. They're very excited.
Right.
And cousins of my age, they're all kind of very interested. But I think my mum and my dad isn't really a big movie fan either. So he doesn't really know anything at all. But my mum especially is kind of, oh dear, doesn't know what to think. Bless her.
Right. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, though, did kind of have, at least the first one, kind of started this, I don't know the correct word, I'm jokingly calling it, gimmick horror, not gimmick with all respect, because gimmick horror, we're like, hey, let's take this public domain character and let's turn it into a horror movie. So what other public domain characters would you like to see a horror movie out of?
Oh man, I don't know what else is there. I mean, somebody's already making the Mickey Mouse one.
Right,
I know that's happening.
Yes. Well, speaking of English stuff, Sherlock Holmes is now 100% public domain. So a horror movie version of Sherlock Holmes could be interesting.
Oh yeah. A lot of it's the same sort of thing. A lot of the great sort of fictional characters from that era, Sherlock Holmes, Dracula, Frankenstein, they're all public domain. So
Yeah.
you really could do anything at all with them.
Oh yeah.
Um, oh, something like uh,
You know
there
what?
hasn't been a yeah.
Feel. Um, I don't know how people know who he is anymore because I think us film fans know who he is. But Felix the Cat. Let's see a Felix the Cat horror movie.
Oh, now that was already pretty grown up to begin with. I think
Yeah.
they could really amp that up a little
Well,
bit.
especially if you watch the early cartoons, it's like, wait, what? Especially if you could turn it into like some of those cartoons really are interesting to watch now because how the animals could just take their arms and legs off and then use you could do something horrific with that. Um,
Oh,
Felix the Cat, and plus the Felix the Cat theme song is even public domain. Felix kept on walking, so you could do something with that. I mean, I know they're already even talking about making an Oswald the Lucky Rabbit horror movie.
oh wow! I mean, it's like you say, the plug has been pulled, so to speak, and there's
Right.
just going to be a deluge of all
Well,
these kind of public domain movies by the looks of it.
well, and even they're going back to the fairy tales too. And I've actually kind of said, in some ways, these horror movie versions of the fairy tales are kind of more true to actual fairy tales because you read some of the original fairy tales. Oh my gosh!
Oh, but like Hans Christian Andersen, the Grimm brothers, they were dark.
Yeah.
They were cautionary tales. And
Oh
then
yeah.
Disney come along and they like watered it down and they kind of like Disneyfied it, and they made them
Right.
into like sweet childish stories.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, people forget that the original fairy tales were like horrific.
yeah. Especially Sleeping Beauty. I don't know how.
Ooh.
I don't know how you. I don't. Even that one is like, oh my gosh! I don't even know how you do that one. Because that one was dark. Sleeping Beauty, the original.
Oh yeah.
Um.
Oh, you could
So
have that's you could have a sort of Little Mermaid, Guillermo del Toro Shape of Water kind of vibe going on. Get the whole kind of
right.
sea creature thing. That could be this is you can explore anything. It's
Oh yeah.
extraordinary.
Um. So I don't know if you heard about this, but there was a teacher here in the U.S. who thought, "Oh, I'm gonna show my elementary school kids Blood and Honey, the first one."
Oh yes.
Needless to say, she got a bunch of people. Like, I mean, just I guess we need to stress that if the title's called Blood and Honey, probably not a good idea to show. I think they were like in the third grade. This movie.
It was pretty young, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I mean,
I don't know, there was all that sort of like, oh, she made a mistake, she didn't realize what kind of film it was. But even if you get like 10 minutes into it, it's not gonna be, this is not normal Winnie the Pooh. This is,
well, I mean,
ooh.
and plus the subtitle, Blood and Honey, should kind of say it. I
The-
mean, they're
the-
not talking. I don't even know what the alternative was. Like, oh, blood, that means roses.
it's incredible. I mean, that when that happened, to be fair, horrible thing for the kids, but like incredible publicity for
The movie,
You know.
the movie that made the movie that makes the elementary school children run. I mean, that's the thing about the Winnie the Pooh movie, the first one, just because it's like the internet was the biggest marketing tool, and even for the second one right now, the internet is your biggest marketing right now, and like
Oh, for sure.
I mean, there's even we were just talking about. There's a gold mine out there right now of public domain characters that are actually going to go public domain here soon. Besides Mickey Mouse, although good luck with that one if anybody tends to do that, because the minute you try to do something that Disney has trademarked of, good luck.
Oh yeah. I think that's exactly why Reese and the guys are not touching Mickey Mouse. They're like, that is just too much trouble. They don't want
Well,
to get into that kettle of fish.
you it's more so you can basically what it is you can use the image of the Steamboat Willie version. However, you have to stress this is not Disney. Like you have to literally probably put that somewhere in the marketing.
Oh yeah.
Y-
I think it's just a lot of red tape that they don't want to get messed up
You're
in, you know.
right.
Because Disney will come down on you like a house, a brick house, you know. It's oh, the legal team is incredible.
Yes. So one of one of the things it's always interesting to ask actors sometimes too is the favorite drink.
Oh, hello. Well, as a Scotsman, as a proud Scotsman, I'm currently drinking Tango here. But I would say if I'd prepared for this, I would have had a lovely bottle of Iron Brew,
Yeah.
which is I don't know if you've ever tasted it yourself, sir.
Oh,
It
no.
is it almost I don't know. It's an undescribable flavor, and it almost single-handedly powers the Scottish population. Um,
I don't know if they have it. I don't know. I don't know if they have it here in Kansas. So
it's very elusive, but it's weird because it's bright orange, but it's not an orange
mhm.
flavor. It's like sort of fruity and kind of almost there's almost sort of a herbaliness to
Well,
it. It's an interesting drink.
yeah. Well, um, being in a being an American, I can't. I got to go with Jack Daniels.
Oh, now if we're talking, yes, if we're talking whiskey, that's I like a Jack Daniel, honey Jack especially. I like the
Yes.
kind of sweeter little touch.
Yeah.
Um,
But so I got to go with Dr. Jack though. Jack Daniels and Dr.
ooh.
Pepper. So
Oh, now yes, the classic Jack and Coke. That is the drink of my not childhood, growing up my youth, so to speak. It was always Jack and Cokes at the bar. Hell yeah, and I felt like a rock star. Very much, you know, because of kind of Slash and Lemmy and all these kind of guys.
right.
You know, you drink a Jack and Coke, man, rock and roll. That was the
Yeah.
that
Well,
was the big
well.
influence.
Let me and let me turn down all right. So
I'm still kicking.
yeah. Um.
Oh yeah.
So next question. Favorite. I guess kind of, sort of related to one question, but we could kind of expand on it. Favorite book you would like to see maybe made into a movie that hasn't been made yet?
Oh, that's interesting. There's a great series of fantasy books. Um, and they're sort of young adult, but not really. It's by a writer called Chris Riddell and ooh something Paul Stewart. I think he's the illustrator. No, Chris Riddell's the illustrator. I can't remember who wrote them. But they're called the Edge Chronicles, and there's like three trilogies, and it's all kind of following this family, and it's huge. It's this wonderful, expansive world called the Edge, and there's all sorts of really interesting world building where there's like sky pirates who use these like floating
Huh.
rocks, and there's these like lighter than air rocks that power the ships, and that's like a whole part of the lore. And then like over the series of the books, the world starts collapsing and like the rocks don't float anymore, and how do they fly, and all the whole world kind of crumbles down. And so it takes place over about uh 80 years probably in the set in this world called the Edge, and it's just incredible. There's monsters, and there's all these horrible bad guys, and there's like really intense like moral plots, and just it's one of these great books where it's about goblins and pirates, but it's also
Huh.
about human morality and
Wow.
how people
Well, Pete,
interact and
well, Peter Jackson, there you go. There's your next series.
they are I read them all growing up, and
Um,
they are so it's a British author, British guy, but I could really see that becoming a
oh,
great
well, you
new
know,
series.
one of the stories I want to see, I think Disney might still own the rights because they did, but I always wanted to see uh, the Chronicles of Pandane, the book, book of three, the Black Cauldron. All
Oh
those
yeah.
books made into movies. I think Disney still owns the rights. I'm not sure. Um,
Ooh.
Either that or one of my things that I think actually could rival Dune if done right. Speaking of Disney, they did the Princess of Mars, that series.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
John Carter. I think if that was done right, that could be like, like if Dune is, let's just say like Star Trek, for instance, that could the Mars series could be at Star Wars.
Oh, that's very yes, good point.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a great. I think they did that John Carter movie a while ago, and I think there were some great bits to it, but they just didn't quite pull it off.
Well,
It was.
I'm not bashing the director or anything. I just think that I just don't know how it was like. Oh, this guy made animated movies. Let's let him do a what $350 million movie. This is his first live action movie. Don't know if that was really the best business decision. I mean,
It was a weird one. I think they kind of threw a whole bunch of stuff at it, and they were like, "Oh, that didn't work.
yeah.
Moving on." But yeah, give it a bit more time. Give it to like people that know what they're doing.
Heck,
Perhaps
heck,
that would be
heck,
great.
maybe that could be Reese's big foray into big budget filmmaking there. So
Oh, big old sci-fi masterpiece.
right.
Yeah.
Um. So anyway, next question. So we all heard horror stories about how the suits weren't comfortable and everything. So how comfortable was the piglet suit?
Ooh. I tell you what, it was actually surprisingly pretty comfortable.
Yes.
Um, it was a very nice. So the costume was sort of like leisure trousers, like soft trousers. I had a sort of t-shirt and a very nice cozy jumper, and then a butcher's apron kind of thing. So I was really warm in the night shoots in the middle of the forest. It was a very nice costume, and then because this time round it was all prosthetics, so the budget was really up on the makeup side of things. So you took about an hour and a half in the makeup chair, and you're sat there, and they put the big back piece on, and then there's a neck piece, and then there's all these different bits, and then once it's all on, you'd think it would be quite heavy on the face, but it was really light, and you could articulate. You could see your eyes. I think they were very interested in seeing the eyes of the actors and the teeth, and
Mm.
they wanted it to be like they wanted to see the human aspects of the creatures. So there's some really great shots in the film where it's like close-ups of like Pooh's eyes and teeth and like and you can see through the prosthetics to the actor underneath, which I think is very important when you're trying to convey a spooky little creature. But
Right.
yeah, I had a great time. I was
Yeah.
warm, I was cozy.
Well,
Getting the makeup done was very relaxing. If anything, I was just
yeah.
sat there, just.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it so sounds like you didn't have like a case like Michael Keaton in the original Batman and Val Kilmer when he was Batman, just like I can't
Oh
walk.
man,
It's
those
it sounds like
those rubber bat suits. Oh dear,
yeah.
you
Well,
do feel sorry for them.
yes. Well, I mean, and plus, you and me are bigger guys. Let's just say I don't know if us would be wearing one of those rubber suits would exactly look right. And then the other thing is, I just can't imagine walking in that. Even being a guy, a bit, because so it sounds like you basically. It sounds like basically. I mean, it's safe to say you just It sounds like basically you just. It was fairly comfortable and like so.
I was, yeah. The costume department put together a great outfit, and it was, I think, the idea behind each of the creatures in the film had a kind of concept behind their outfit.
Mhm.
So like Tigger, for instance, he's got a kind of straitjacket thing going on. Owl is obviously all covered in feathers. So I think I got off really lightly because I was just
Right.
I was in a nice jumper and some jogging bottoms, It was
Basically, you just went to work in your pajamas.
yeah, I just turned up all casual, like. It was very good. Lovely big boots. I was clomping about. It was great.
So you, so you, um, anyway, you. One of the things I would like to just, and kind of my questions, but well, we could. I usually like to go for an hour, so we could talk for the rest of the time. But what advice would you give to people who want to get into acting?
Ooh, now that's always an interesting question. Yes, because everyone has such different career paths. Everyone comes at it in different ways. Um, I since pretty much for about 10 years, I've been pursuing professional acting work. Ever since I did like my first paid jobs. So I've done a lot of theatre. I've done a lot of like open air Shakespeare in the summers. I've done a lot of weird little films. You're helping out your friends when they're film students and stuff.
Right.
Um, and for basically 10 years, I've done anything I can do. And now I think, things like this are coming in. I'm finally in a position where uh, I've got the experience and I've got the connections, and I think I'm at a point where I'm much more confident in myself. I'm going for things. I'm doing that sort of stuff. In terms of advice, I don't know because I've had a really roundabout way into it. But
Right.
what I would always tell people is just do as much as possible, but you don't have to do everything because there are some things that will not help you. If you
Right.
if you see because I've done a lot of bad films, like short films, terrible experiences, and you just go, why am I doing this? Oh my God. So I can speak with authority that you can definitely filter certain things. And
Mhm.
there are definitely some projects, all they'll do is piss you off and make you tired, and they won't give you any, you won't even get any footage at the end because they won't finish the film. It's that kind of thing.
Right.
So a big bit of advice I would have is learning how to tell what's going to be good. And you do build an instinct, you do build a sort of sense of things, and you can read a casting call and you go, no, that's going to be a load of pish.
Yeah.
um, but on the other side, you need to do stuff. So yeah, be picky, but not too much,
Mhm.
because you do want to have the experience. And if you can work with friends, then that's always fun. You can put up with some bad scenarios so long as you're all in it together.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, I don't know. Just I mean, because that's what I've done. I have just grafted. I've done
right.
hundreds of things, and it's led me here. So yeah, just take opportunities when they come, but do have a filter. That's what I would say. Have an awareness of what is going to be good and worthwhile, and what is just going to be a waste of a day. Um, and you won't know initially, but you'll figure it out eventually.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Well, well,
but just have fun as well, I suppose. Have fun. There you go.
yes.
Advice.
Well, um, I saw, Eric was telling me on your that you play guitar or anything. One of his questions that I can remember. That's his part of it. Right? Um, what What other do you play any other instruments besides guitar?
Oh, well, you can see my pile behind me
Right.
here. So, guitar, I play guitar. I've got my little bass there, my acoustic bass. I'm trying to learn ukulele at the moment as well. I do a bit of harmonica. I do a bit of.
There you.
I was trying to learn a bit of keyboards as well, very basic chords and
Yeah.
stuff.
Um.
Um,
Yeah. You
oh,
could.
yeah.
Who knows? Maybe what you. Maybe you. We just mentioned Lemmy earlier. Maybe you can sit there eventually play some Motorhead on the ukulele.
Oh my god. Hold on, how would that work? I've
Oh, we're gonna.
got it here.
Looks like we're gonna get a sneak peek here.
The ukulele. Uh, I don't know if that's even coming along, but is that coming through the mic?
Yeah.
So that's basically what Ace of Spades would sound like on a ukulele. The Ace of Spades! The Ace of Spades! It's too sweet. It's not right. It's
You need like an electric ukulele or something that has some.
put a bit of fuzz on it.
Yeah, maybe use some distortion. Um, wow.
Very silly.
So, let's see. Well, you know, you. So, is there any funny stories, I guess, on the set of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey that you want to share?
Ooh. Well, I mean, it was a very like intense shooting schedule. And a lot of it was like overnights. So we would turn up at say, uh, it was probably about 6 p.m. most nights. You'd turn up and you'd start getting into costume and then getting into makeup, and you were basically just using as much of the night as you could.
Right.
So I don't know. A lot of the time, we didn't really do much like mucking around because everything was on such a tight schedule. You know,
Right.
you would be doing so much in an evening because it was only about a month it took to film the whole thing.
Wow.
But these guys are used to doing it in a week. You know, like the first Pooh movie was filmed in a week on £50,000 or whatever it was. So this time they had a bit more time and a bit more money, but it was still only a month. So basically, over September was the entire filming.
There you go.
So yeah, I mean, we didn't really. I wish there were. You know, we had some nice times.
What about any other movies? Any other funny things funny stories, that happened on set?
Man, a lot of the time, the funny stuff happens because you are just so tired.
Right.
Like you're working together for hours and hours and hours, and you've maybe been waiting for like ages to do a shot, and you're just sat in a trailer and you're all dressed up as weird and wonderful creatures, and it's the human way of like just passing the time. You just talk absolute nonsense, and you just like discover all sorts of weird and wonderful things about each other. So in terms of like specific stories, I can't really think of anything that's like worth sharing, but it's just that you make do, because you're sat in this little metal tin waiting for ages to do stuff, and then finally you've got to be action stations. So you're in this weird kind of, you're resting, but you've got to be ready to go. So you're kind of like, you're like keeping each other awake and energized. Basically, it's kind of like going on a road trip, and the passenger has to keep the driver awake. You're kind of doing that for each other. So you are acting as each other's adrenaline boosters. So I don't even know, man. We had all sorts of weird and wonderful things, but I don't know. It was all like you had to be there kind of stuff. It was
Yeah.
just like sleepy, delirious kind of chat, like 2 a.m. at a house party kind of talk, just nonsense. you know?
Yes. Well, I mean, I mean, I could definitely relate to those. It sounds like when you're sort of, when you should probably be sleeping, but then like you're talking to you're just kind of talking and everything to people, like
Oh yeah.
you know, and it's like, man, I should go to bed, and then you just start talking of like stuff that's like, man, I don't know if I should have said that, dude.
It all comes out. We'd
Yes.
we'd be sat there in the makeup department at like 2 a.m. getting touch-ups and stuff, and we'd all just be like, we'd be drinking coffee through straws and like having our dinner fed to us because we can't like
Right.
access our mouths. Because like I don't know if you've ever tried to eat without being able to see, but you have to kind of
Um,
guess where it's going. It was very weird,
I mean,
and you just sat there and just
I
delirium,
guess I guess the closest I've ever gotten is I actually used to do tree work, and like so like
Oh,
had the you're eating outside, and like in Kansas, like this, especially during the summertime, there's sometimes where like the sun is just beaming, beaming, and like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you get in the shade. The shade's not your friend. The sun's gonna find a way. So you're sitting there eating with sunglasses, and you can't you can hardly see because you're because you're the sunglasses aren't helping because the sun just decides to shine bright and shiny that day. And so
oh
it,
boy.
it is interesting, especially you seem to when that happens, you seem to forget where your mouth is.
Oh yeah.
So
It's
it's
a
like
very weird phenomenon.
yes, um, but let's see. Ah, this so you know I guess we'll do a maybe question here. Like I said, I mean, it's just kind of I'm very professional with this one just because I mean I was expecting my co-host here. So.
Yeah.
But,
What can you do?
yeah, we'll just say when you win your Oscar.
Oh,
What would your Oscar speech be?
oh man. Whoa. Well, I mean, thank you first of all for your vote of confidence.
You never
I,
know.
I, I think I would definitely be one of those acts that gets played off with the song. I would just keep talking. I would be waffly, 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 waffly.
Well,
Like, thank you, mum. Thank you, dad. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all these people. Oh my God. And I'd break down and I'd be like, oh, I'm so happy for all of this. It's wonderful. And
yeah.
I'd have to be like hustled off the stage.
You'll just be like you'll no, they actually might have to get the cane and just
Yeah.
um
A whole
I
team of security.
yeah
Get him off. Get him out of
yeah
here.
my I remember in school one time I had that the assignment that the teacher gave me to write my Oscar speech, and I always just find it funny reading it now because it's like, wow. I said I would like to thank my friends and family, and then I would like to thank the people that said this would never happen, and I have in parentheses then look directly into main camera.
Ah.
And then I said, keep in mind, like I was in high school, so Megan Fox was the it girl. So I said I would like to thank my lovely wife Megan. So
What a career.
yeah.
Oh
So,
boy.
but um, I guess if you can talk about this, because I just thought of another question. I know that Reese is kind of talk about doing this expanded public domain, you know, cinematic universe.
Oh yes. The
So
Pooniverse.
I know, like I know he's doing Bambi, which that was going to be interesting to see.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Are you involved with that one, or can you not? Do you have to plead the fifth of that one?
Um, at the moment, I have no involvement with Bambi. Um, I may or may not be involved with the Peter Pan one, which is another one they're doing.
Yeah,
Um, obviously, they've just announced Blood and Honey 3 has been like greenlit. So like that's already gonna be a thing as well. So you can, Piglet may or may not be hanging around for another serving. No, I think because the Bambi one, I don't know if it's either in post production or it's pretty much finished. I can't remember what the status of that is. Um,
yeah.
but
Uh,
yeah, no, I don't really know a lot.
the only the only way
It
the only way I would see a Bambi horror movie, there's a video game. I can't remember what it was called, but it's like you play as a deer hunting humans.
whoa.
And it was like made in the early 2000s, but it's like that like slightly disturbing game because you basically you play a deer hunter, but like you can mount human heads to the wall like they do a deer. And
Ooh.
I'm like, man, that's what I would want to see in a Bambi horror movie. Bambi for mommy or something like that. For mother.
Yeah. I think my understanding of it from what I've been told is that it's basically that. It's like Bambi is like getting revenge on the hunters, that killed the mother, and I think it's meant to be like I think it's going to be more. I think the creature is going to be more CGI. I can't remember if they've changed. There was a lot of talk back and forth.
Yeah,
Again,
well,
this is all very unofficial chit chat. I don't
well,
know anything like. I don't know anything
I
official,
don't, I don't, I
unfortunately.
don't know if we're quite there yet. For like, I mean, to be fair, it would actually be kind of funny if it was, a man in a deer costume. But um, I mean, but
I, I,
I
I
don't
don't know
know
if you
how you.
remember that there was an SNL sketch where The
Yes,
Rock was playing Bambi. Do you remember?
yes,
So there's been a
yes.
lot of parodies of that recently. People are
Yeah,
like,
well,
"It's just like an
well,
SNL sketch."
we all know that I'm sure Reese would love to hire The Rock, but The Rock's not
Oh,
a little too expensive.
yeah, he
I
is.
mean,
He's about $1 million just for himself. Yes, goodness
well, I
me.
mean, I think, oh, gosh, I know at one time I heard he was getting like 50 million a movie. So
That is, whoo, my God, what a
yes,
fella.
yeah. Who knows? Maybe he could get like, I don't know, just cast maybe one of the other WWE wrestlers as the hunter. Like I don't know, get Randy Orton or something.
Oh,
Um, but I know. I mean, I know he's do. I have heard of the Peter Pan one, because Eric tells me all this stuff. I'm like, I mean, especially if you could go with the original story of Peter Pan, because Peter the Pan takes me the dark. Oh my gosh.
oh yeah.
Um, and although I know with Peter Pan, the the author gave it to a children's hospital. I know the books are published, but I think the children's hospital owns the trademark. If I'm correct in that.
Yeah. There's been a lot of back and forth on that. It's a complicated one.
Yeah. But well, yeah. Let's see though. I but there you go. Though maybe with Reese though, like he could do, like I said, Sherlock Holmes could be interesting because
Mm.
going back to that one because you know put Sherlock Holmes like in a haunted house or something like that, or I don't know. Even maybe do something with Sherlock Holmes because he's 100% public domain now.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I mean, you or either that or one of the things I would love to see, because I think I think they're. I think the next. I think they go. They're 100% public domain next year. Speaking of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, I would even want to see his other series, the Professor Challenger, The Lost World,
Ooh.
and you know, who knows? Maybe when you're about 10 years old or something, you can play Professor Challenger. I could see it. Although
That would be
although
a lot of fun.
yeah, although he. So I don't know. There's such a gold mine out there right now, especially with some big ones that are coming to be public domain pretty soon here, like Buck Rogers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, I think Buck Rogers technically already is, but there's a weird thing with it. Flash Gordon.
Yeah, yeah. All that kind of like early sci-fi stuff. That's all coming up.
Mm-hmm.
It's I mean, like Batman is about to become
Yes.
public domain. Yeah, Batman and Superman. It's like, what are we doing?
Well,
it's gonna be crazy.
There you go, Reese. Maybe a Batman horror movie.
Oh.
Or
Well, there's a lot of good Batman stories that could be adapted. Right. A lot of the darker stuff, like the horror, like really like
oh yeah,
whether like the Joker goes completely off the rails and things, you could
yes.
really,
well,
with the right director and things, get a really dark Batman story.
I think with Batman, the Joker won't be public domain until like a couple years afterwards. But the one character that would be public domain, because it was Batman's original archenemy before the Joker, it would be Dr. Hugo Strange.
Oh yes. Oh, so you could really push it up.
Oh yeah.
Because they've dabbled with it, with the I don't know if you've played the Arkham City games. Yes. They that was like edging into dark Batman territory.
Right.
And I think if you pushed that tone even more, oh man, you get some real grim stuff.
Yes. Well, you could probably end up getting some even then once it becomes public domain. I would love to see, somebody attempt to do it, because somebody's going to attempt to do it. Maybe they could end up doing Batman versus Superman. But then, but with some of the comic book heroes that are going to go public domain, like, I mean, Captain America too, and I mean even the Phantom is going to be public domain,
Yeah.
I mean, and we were just talking Edgar Rice Burroughs, but like Tarzan, technically public domain, but there's trademarking stuff with the Edgar Rice Burroughs Incorporated. But even one of them that I think that people aren't really like thinking about really, but even the again, I don't know the trademarking issues, but even at least some of the shorts are the Three Stooges.
Oh yeah, very good point.
So
like Laurel and Hardy and all these guys, like this is all. It's insane. Everything's becoming public domain.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would be interesting though to see. I don't know about the trademarks, like if the Howard family would own the rights to the characters, but like it would be interesting to see like a Three Stooges horror movie or something. Even like a tribute to like Laurel and Hardy, like a horror movie take on that, or even something. It would just be interesting to see what people come up with. I mean, heck, even Abbott and Costello, like some of their movies. I mean, it's like the stuff that we all remember growing up with as kids that were classic movies, are becoming public domain. I mean, even the next 4 years, King Kong.
God, yes.
Oh. I mean, because, oh my gosh, though. I mean, even though King Kong is technically public domain, but they've been arguing that for years. But King Kong, though, I mean, that's going to be interesting just because people are going to, you know there's going to be some big studio that's going to say, you know, let's do a King Kong remake, you know. Which, hey, I mean, I'd be all for it, you know, because it'd be awesome to see. So,
Hell yeah. Oh,
I mean,
it's really going to be an exciting time for like just creativity. I think people are going to take all these characters and just mush them up. The same
oh yeah,
the way that like fan films have been doing, you know, like people have been writing fan fiction and making fan movies of all these things. When it's done on a professional level,
mm-hmm.
it's going to be
Well,
insane.
in some ways, you know, these popular characters that are going to be public domain soon. I mean, even now, it's not the Green Lantern that we all know and love, but even a version of Green Lantern is going to be public domain the next 15 years or so.
Oh
So, like,
yeah.
you know, in a weird way, it's going to be interesting because these are going to be like fan films, but more official fan films because, you know, I mean, let's face it, I mean, Blood and Honey, I mean, it was kind of like, no disrespect, it was kind of an official fan film in a weird way, you know, because,
Oh yeah.
I mean, here's my thing. For me, it was like, when I saw them, I'm like, okay, I mean, for me, it's like, it's kind of like that good movie, take the nice date to, and, you know, have some popcorn and everything. That, you know, and I was expecting the answer to the universe watching Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. So, but they were. I had, but like some of these ones, I'm just like, man, you know, I just think that, you know, it's going to be interesting just to see, you know, because I mean, not we don't have, even. I mean, even in the next 30-ish years, 30ish years, I mean, even the Creature from the Black Lagoon is going to be public domain. So,
Yeah, man, it is. Yeah, it does make you realize just how short a lot of like human creation is. Like the time spent, all these characters that we consider to be like iconic, they've only been around for under 100 years, you know.
right.
And it's mad that it's all coming full circle now, and we're gonna just see a kind of reiteration or
Mm-hmm.
what's gonna happen. It's gonna be interesting.
Oh, yeah. Well, one of the things that is a character that is public domain that I actually would love to see come back. He was popular in the 1930s, but, you know, he actually inspired James Bond, Bulldog Drummond, that series.
Oh yes, a little
Uh,
little little little
I would,
spy thriller.
yeah, I would love to see, you know, somebody make a movie about it. And I've talked to some guys about it. I said, hey, let's, you know, I, you know, I wasn't the biggest fan of No Time to Die. I'll be honest. But you know, and I'm just like, well, let's just make Bulldog Drummond, you know, the guy who inspired James Bond, you know, because he's public domain. So,
Yeah. Take it
uh,
right back to the start.
oh yeah, and then, you know, I mean, there's even like, assuming, I mean, and then one of them that is going to be interesting to see, although there will be, I guarantee it that it's going to probably go to court. I guarantee this. Because Warren Beatty owns the rights, but Dick Tracy is going to be public domain.
Oh yeah, yeah. Interesting.
But so it's going to be just, it's going to be interesting to see. Like, who knows? You could maybe if that happens, you know, you could get cast as a gangster or something. Because I don't know, I don't know if we want. I don't know if you'd be a good Dick Tracy, but
I don't know. I'll take a heavy. I'll take one of the thugs.
yeah,
Little gangster.
yeah. Well, I mean, hey, you know, I would just be like Sean, just be like Sean Connery with your Scottish accent. You know, like just it doesn't matter what if you're playing a Russian, you're just always are Scottish.
Yes, I'm the Russian commander of this submarine. Yes, I've come from Moscow.
Yes. Or
Oh, Sean,
yes.
it's so good.
Or even another fellow Scotsman actor, you know, Gerard Butler. He always tries to do other accents, but just Nope, he's always Scottish.
Bless him. Oh, he
Uh,
he is always kind of the butt of the joke. Poor Gerard Butler, big with his big American Scottish accent.
yeah, but
Oh, bless him.
well, hey, I mean, I I just think that would just be something that just have you know I mean good old Sean, it doesn't matter if he's playing an Egyptian Spaniard.
Oh, in
Uh,
Highland, it was like, yes, I'm a Spaniard. Hello. Absolutely just shameless. Beautiful man.
it works because it's Sean Connery. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. He's so charismatic, nobody cares. You
Right.
know, we don't give a damn. We just want more Sean Connery. That's what we want.
Yes. Too bad Jason didn't make it.
Oh,
Um, but
man.
yeah, who knows? Maybe we were talking, uh, Lord of the Rings. So who knows? Maybe. I mean, even that's going to be public domain here in the next few years. Because
Yeah.
that one's going to be interesting. Although, as a massive Tolkien fan, there are some parts of it I'm like, it's going to be like, oh, for me, it's like, I don't know,
Yeah.
because
As soon as anyone tries to talk about a Lord of the Rings film remake, I'm out of here.
well, even
Wrap
The
it.
Hobbit is going to be public domain in the next 10 years. So,
True.
which I'm like, that one for me, it's like,
Crazy stuff.
I don't know how I feel about that, but because, like, I mean, I'm one of those that I will actually defend the Hobbit movies. They weren't exactly as good, but I will defend them.
They were fun. It's like you say, it's like popcorn cinema. It's
Right.
entertaining.
Right. Well, for me, it's more like I I more appreciate it that because if those movies if they did not, the fact of the matter is that Guillermo del Toro actually was going to direct it, and then
Yeah.
and then he couldn't do it for personal reasons, and then Peter Jackson had to step in to direct it because if Peter Jackson didn't do it, then well, no movie. And I
Yeah.
kind of think that Peter Jackson, it's like, okay, I'm going to do this, but it's not necessarily getting a paycheck, but it's like my heart's going to be in this, but it's like, okay, nah. And I mean, I would love to. I know they're even talking about doing this animated Lord of the Rings film coming out in December.
Oh, yes.
Warriors of Rohirrim or something like that. Which even as a massive Tolkien fan, I'm like, why we should just get the rights to. Somebody should just buy the rights to the Silmarillion, because
Ooh.
I mean that's just the next step to go to. And instead of doing an interesting series, yeah, I mean even I would even love to see some of the books that inspired C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien too. Because
Yeah.
some of those other fantasy authors that don't get talked about a whole lot that are public domain.
Well, this is where it gets interesting. If you look at what influences your influences, just keep going back down the line,
Mm-hmm.
and you find really interesting stuff.
Oh
Like
yeah,
old, like old English fantasy and like
right.
crazy old stuff. It's very cool.
Yeah. Well, I just want to know when is somebody going to make like a horror movie version of like some Jules Verne novel or something? Like 20,
Oh,
like make a horror movie of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
now that would be cool. Oh,
That would be cool. And that would be cool. Even some of the other ones, like from Earth to the Moon, or I don't Around the World in 80 Days wouldn't really work for a horror movie, but
you never know.
I mean,
Oh,
a lot. It would be interesting to see, but just some even Jules Verne stuff would be interesting to do, or I just want to know like when somebody's going to adapt like we were talking earlier, some of the fairy tales, that like actually makes them what they were originally, and I would even love it if somebody who had the guts to even do it in animation, you know.
oh yeah. You could do really cool stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's all there for the taking.
Oh yeah.
Who
Well, that's
knows?
the great thing about public domain. Um, so I mean, it's one of those things that right now it's like kind of exciting times to live in a little bit because it's like, man, I mean, we're getting we we always still had these, rights for some of the stories, but some of them are like some of these recognizable IPs. It's like, hey, we can take them now because I mean, I would love to see somebody do like a new version of Flash Gordon, because that would be really cool.
Oh yeah.
Or
My
even
God.
I've even been telling somebody I want to see it. I want to see somebody make Buck Rogers versus Flash Gordon. Yeah, I
Mm.
mean, yeah, you kind of have to kind of twist some stuff around because Buck, Flash is in a different planet, and then Buck Rogers is in like the 23rd century. But I don't know how you really make that work. But storytellers can find a way. So
Yeah. Take
who knows?
these like 50s sci-fi aesthetic and add like a modern cinematic
Yeah.
budget.
Well, there you go.
Oh.
That's something that Reese and you guys should do when it comes to public domain. I want to see we want to see Flash Gordon horror movie.
Holy moly. Like, I mean, that's really cool at the moment, like the whole future retro aesthetic thing. People are taking like old science fiction and remaking it and all that, and it's a very
Right.
cool time. Very
Oh
cool.
yeah. I mean, it would just be interesting to see that because it's like, what do you even do with something like that? Because I mean, I know that I just, I'm just like, it's just interesting to see now because, where, even some of these stories that, I'm kind of hoping that maybe, like I said, it could lead into bigger things because people are taking advantage of it right now. Like they're talking about a Snow White horror movie, Cinderella, you know,
Oh yeah.
and I'm like I said, in some ways, those are definitely going back to the actual fairy tales. So
It's very
because
exciting.
those fairy tales are, you read some of them, like I was saying earlier, some of those are dark stories. Um, and some of them, it's like, man, um, think about it. They were People were telling their children this back in the day.
Mm. Well, that's it. They were meant to be like scary stories. It was cautionary. It was meant to like teach kids how to behave and stuff. And
Yeah,
then,
hey, maybe we need more of that. Just teach them the cautionary tale.
yeah.
Because I mean, um,
They're getting off too lightly these days, the kids. They're not being
yes,
scared enough.
and
Uh,
that, and I mean, well, even my one of my favorite YouTubers, Michael Francesi, who he was a capo regime in the Colombo crime family, and in his time, he always stresses that the mob did not get involved with drugs because his dad would tell him horror stories about people on drugs. So it's like, and so I'm like, we maybe in some ways these horror movie based on fairy tales could be good for the kids now. So
yeah, there you go.
yeah, so maybe that was a good thing. I don't know what Blood and Honey really teaches you, but maybe it's a good thing those little kids saw it. um,
Maybe.
I mean, so, but anyway, we've gone on for about the hour, so we will.
Ooh.
Uh, we will. I'll end it here, but just I guess final question here. Is there anything you want to plug?
Oh, well, I don't know. I'd love to have people find me on social media. I'm just Eddie Mackenzie everywhere. I am, yeah, I'm a musician. We've talked about actor, comedian. I
Yeah,
gig all around the UK.
yeah.
I don't know when this is going to be released, but I'm actually going to be doing some shows in New York at the start of uh, next month, April.
It'll
Yes,
be.
as part of Tartan Week. So the
Mm.
first week of April in New York is Tartan Week, and a bunch of Scottish comedians are heading over, and we're going to do a bunch of shows
Oh,
at the Grizzly Pear in Midtown, New York City.
it'll
So
be.
if anyone sees this and sees that and wants to see me, that's where I'll be.
It'll be. This will be premiering. Not obviously not this Friday because we're recording this on Friday. It'll be next Friday. So
Oh, well, I've been and gone, but you had your chance.
yes. But
Maybe if you did see me and then you're seeing this,
well,
who knows?
but yeah. Well, I would anyway. So this is Ty with June Book Films. Sit down by the fire, but we will. I guess. Do you want to get one of your ukuleles or some sort of instrument and play us out?
Ooh, let's have a little more ukulele motorhead, shall we?
Okay.